Just a quick warning before we get into the video. This video does contain spoilers for RWBY Volume 8, Chapter 11, so make sure you watch the episode before you see this. Thanks. Hello, my name is Joe, and welcome to my channel. So, the most recent episode of RWBY. New favorite episode of the volume? Anyone else? Just me? Not a lot of action happened, but gosh, so many good emotional beats and character moments. Marrow finally defecting, and probably Winter too, given her over-exaggerated, "I'll take this traitor to the brig." We got RWBY and Yang touching on what happened with the Hound and bringing up pretty much the exact ideas I mentioned in an earlier theory video, although this actually makes me think it's less likely to be the case, but still cool. And of course, we got a sweet Ren and Nora scene. And John's part of it just had me cackling, I have to say. However, what I want to talk about today doesn't really have a lot to do with any of that. Rather, there were a few moments this episode that got me thinking about the future of the former Team Juniper, and where they could go from here. In particular, who might join them to make a complete team of 4. So, let's get into it. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. They already have a team of 4 with Oscar joining them to make Team Alpine. And yes, I know most people call them Team Orange, including Rooster Teeth, but I prefer Alpine since Oscar isn't the leader of the team. And yeah, that's true. They have been treated as a team since Volume 7. Well, more like only in Volume 7. They were in the team silhouette in the intro, they trained together, they kinda fought Neo together, and that's actually about it. After that, we get to Volume 8, and we split into new teams. Even then, Oscar got separated from his team and abducted by Salem. And that's the real issue here. Oscar doesn't really feel like part of Team Junior. He's a lot like Crow has been since Volume 4, actually. Just seeming like part of the greater team protagonists rather than part of an actual team. That's why he's often awkwardly shoved into scenes with Team RWBY that he doesn't actually contribute anything to, and sometimes takes a bit of the emotional weight from. Especially now that Ozpin's back, there's always going to be a level of separation between him and the others, with it only widening the more he becomes like Oz. So, even if it's more correct, I don't feel like it's the most satisfying answer. The next option is Emerald. Now, this idea was brought up in a Phoenix Knight video. I think it was actually his review of Volume 8, Chapter 9, and I think would make quite a bit of sense, actually. I mean, with Emerald officially switching sides in this episode, to me, it seems like she'll be sticking with the main cast. Especially since they'll most likely be heading to Vacuo, and that's where she can meet back up with Mercury. It will also open up some interesting story possibility and interactions, since Junior, along with RWBY and Yang, were the ones most affected by Emerald's actions, in particular with their loss of Pyrrha. Even with them seeming to accept that she's on their side in this episode, I still feel like there will be tension going forward, needing to be addressed when they are in less dire circumstances. The real thorn in this theory's side is Cinder. We really don't know what Cinder plans to do. Is she going to return to Salem? Start a new faction with Watts? Will she try and sway Emerald back to her side? We really don't know enough about it, and we'll just have to see what happens. Still, I think this is a pretty good theory, and I quite like it. I also think Jungle, like Phoenix Knight suggested in his video, would be a great team name for them. And my favorite theory, as well as probably the least likely of the 3, is that Penny will be the 4th member of Team Juniper. Or, well, Alpine still, because they probably wouldn't want it to seem like they're replacing Pyrrha, especially after Ren's speech a while ago. Maybe that's why Rooster Teeth used Orange for Junior plus Oscar. They were saving Alpine for this. That'd be pretty neat. And actually, now that I think about it, this isn't actually in the script that I wrote, But now that I think about it, it would kind of make sense because kind of like how Ren and Nora are switching mentalities regarding their relationship this volume, it would also be kind of switching their places in the team. So, that would be kind of cool little symbolism there. I like that. I actually really like that idea. Honestly, Penny was a big reason I decided to talk about this theory at all today. The primary moments in this episode that got me thinking about this were when Emerald was talking to the big group of RWBY, Junior, and Penny. When it gave smaller shots, it largely focused on two groups. Team RWBY, and then Team Junior and Penny. Now, that would be pretty flimsy evidence on its own. They probably would have just been trying to do good framing with two groups of four, so... However, combine that with how Jaune was the one who helped her fight off the virus with his semblance, and her quickly growing friendship with Nora, and I feel like they're building towards something. I've seen several people bring up the idea that they are building toward Nora gaining the Winter Maiden powers, but I just personally don't see that happening. I don't think that RWBY would have a Maiden as part of the main group going forward, since it would make a lot of the grim threats way too easy. Now, I know what you're gonna say, but Joe, adding Penny to their group would be the same thing, since she's the Winter Maiden. Well, as I spoke about in another video, I don't think Penny is making it out of Volume 8 with her Maiden powers intact. I believe she's most likely going to die and be brought back by Pietro and the Relic of Creation. I think it would just be awesome to have Penny join the remainder of Team Juniper. I always believed that if Jaune and Penny had met in Volume 1, they might have even been closer friends than RWBY and Penny. What with his strangers or just friends you haven't met yet outlook on life. Having her be on the same team as him along with Nora, the one she is closest to besides RWBY, would make for a great dynamic, I think. Plus, it would add another layer to the title of Volume 3, Chapter 9, with PvP also ending up meaning the original P of Team Juniper versus the eventual P of Team Alpine. Also, just Penny is my second favorite character, and has been since Volume 1. So having her and Jaune and Nora on a team would put 3 of my top 5 characters all in one place, and I just really want to see that happen, honestly. Also, on an unrelated note, you want to know something interesting? We've never seen Emerald's aura. I was going to put a comment in here about how each one of the options had green aura, which was kind of neat, but then I thought back and realized we've never actually seen Emerald's aura at any point. She's never taken enough hits for it to flicker or break from what I can remember. Anyway, back to the theory. I just thought that was kind of interesting. So, these are the 3 options I could think of for who could be Team Juniper's new 4th member. Except for one problem. That being the fact that teams aren't really super relevant anymore. Obviously, Team RWBY are still important as a team since they are the show's namesake, and Junior are important due to years of history, but the actual formation of 4-person teams isn't really super relevant to the story right now. If someone new does join the group, like Emerald seems to be, they are more likely to just generally join the main group of Rainbow, rather than officially being inducted to fill out Junior's missing slot. I mean, that's essentially what happened with Oscar, after all. They even took the step of assembling new teams this volume, which, in my opinion, actually worked super well, and I hope they do it more in the future. It opened up character interactions we never really got before. So even if I really want someone like Penny or Emerald to officially join Team Junior, I don't think that's really how things are going to work out. At most, they'll probably be generally shown in scenes together as a group, like what happened this episode. Still, it's a lot of fun to think about the possibilities, even if they are unlikely. But hey, those are just my thoughts. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Think it's kind of weird it took until Volume 4 to get a main cast member with a green aura? Let me know in the comments below. And, subscribe. I'm trying to do a video every week or so you might find something you like. Till next time, safe journeys, my friends.